Welcome to Big Blend Radio's Jefferson Highway Show. This historic highway was formed in 1915 by the Jefferson Highway Association. It runs from Winnipeg, Canada, all the way to New Orleans, Louisiana. Let's go! Welcome, everybody. You know, it is Great Outdoors Month and also National Rivers Month. And so, we do this wonderful Jefferson Highway Association podcast here on Big Blend Radio every fourth Thursday. And we thought we cannot leave June without talking about the Great Outdoors and Rivers Month, because the rivers do run along the Jefferson Highway. The Mississippi is one of them, a big one. And Nancy and I have traveled a lot of the Jefferson Highway, and not only are there rivers, but there are swamps. You can even go to the ocean when you get to, the end of the road in New Orleans. If you want, you can get down there to that water. So, there's a lot to experience on the Jefferson Highway. Again, it goes from Winnipeg, Minnesota to New Orleans, or if you want to go from New Orleans to Winnipeg, you can do that too. It's one of our very first vacation routes, and it was started in 1915. And that was actually started by the editor of the Better Homes and Garden magazine, and everyone came together. And now there's this amazing revival happening, and you should be part of it. I don't care if you're a traveler or a destination on this route, you've got to be part of it. So I encourage you to go to jeffersonhighway.org and be part of the Jefferson Highway Association. Today, we're going to be talking about Minnesota, and we're going to go to Iowa. And of course, we've got two great guests, and we have Roger Bell, the president of the Jefferson Highway Association, on the show as always. So welcome back, Roger. How are you?
I'm good, Lisa. It's great to be back.
I know it. We're talking the outdoors. This is our thing. We've been waiting for this show since the podcast started, right? So now we're very excited because, the actual highway has so much beauty to behold, whether it's prairie land with wildflowers, farmlands. We've seen pelicans in the middle of Missouri on a little swampy area to just, yes, mosquitoes in Minnesota, just saying. So bring your bug spray if you're going to go out and enjoy the waterways on the Jefferson Highway. And I think, Roger, when people used to get out in their old cars in 1915, from that era on, they were car camping in natural areas at one point. So, we're little babies about things now. Like we talk about one mosquito may get us, we're babies.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt. In fact, one of our sites here, Itasca, was a very prominent destination along the route, and we have pictures of campers there, pictures of sociability runs there. So it's that's part of it, and there's just the outdoors was definitely part of it all, and it's still when you drive the route today, the diversity is quite amazing.
It is. I'm going to bring our guests on the show. We have Connie Cox, who's a lead interpretive naturalist, especially for parks and trails, from Itasca State Park. And this is part of the Minnesota State Parks. And Minnesota is gorgeous. I know they were talking about a drought out that way. And all I can say is when Nancy and I went through there, especially being from the Southwest, we're like, what drought? What are you talking about, y'all? It's green. It's beautiful. And you can go to the website, mndnr.gov. Now, when you get to parks, the websites get, a little bit lengthy because they're government websites. And all the notes and the links are in the episode notes and the show description. So check that out. But welcome, Connie. How are you?
I'm doing great. And yes, I hate to toot Minnesota's horn, but yeah, we do have some beautiful state parks here in Minnesota. And fortunately, we've been getting some rain, so our drought is abating a little bit.
Really?
But yeah, some areas are actually having flooding and some dams are washing out. So we've been getting some significant rain, but we needed it, and it helps with all our beautiful wildflowers and our forest systems. And if your listeners have never been to Minnesota, we have 3 unique biomes. You can see prairie, you can see hardwood forests and pine forests. And here at Itasca State Park up in the Northwest, we have examples of all 3 of those. So we hope your listeners will come out and enjoy the beauty of Itasca.
Oh, so now you just taught me it's Itasca, so that's important to get that right. So how it's pronounced. What does the name represent? Itasca.
Having a little technical difficulty.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna bring our next guest on, and we'll get back to Connie. So Jessica is joining us from Iowa Falls, and on our adventure last year, Nancy and I, like spur of the moment road trip where we just got on the road and saw, if you go to jeffersonhighway.org, there's a great map that you can download on your phone. And we followed that. And then Roger started saying, well, you need to go to Iowa Falls. You must go. And we did. And then he made me go over the suspension bridge. And then halfway through, I wanted to even call him right there and say, Roger, what are you doing to me? I'm scared of heights, and he didn't care, but I did do part way. Nancy got further because she always does, because she's, my mom, and am I allowed to say badass on this show, Roger? I did. I just did. She is. Nancy's hardcore.
You got my permission.
She's, she survived the wilds of Africa, literally, tracking wildlife. So, and lions and stuff with Joy Adamson. So when she's like, why is my daughter not going over this bridge? I'm going, and Roger's going, why aren't you not doing this? I'm like, I'm still a baby. I'm sorry. But he made us go to Iowa Falls, and we would have probably missed it. Not from the map, but if Roger didn't demand, we wouldn't have gotten there, but we did. And so we have Jessica Charks joining us, and she's the executive director of Empress Boat Club, which this looks like a beautiful boat that takes you around a beautiful riverway, a waterway. So, but actually we want to know about this waterway because I have no clue where I was standing, but there were falls. And, I did kind of do the suspension bridge, but I think I'd rather be on the Empress boat. So welcome, Jessica. How are you?
I am great, and I thank you for having me.
So you know what I'm talking about with that suspension bridge, right?
I do. That is our famous swinging bridge.
Yeah. How many people you guys locally know how to do that, right? You're fine. You're fine,
Yeah,
right?
it doesn't really swing anymore. I mean, it definitely has movement to it. But when I was young, I was raised here, and when I was younger, it definitely had a little more movement, and it was not as much fun. Wasn't as pretty, I should say, because I also am afraid of heights.
I don't care if it moves or not even. It's just like, no, but actually it's beautiful out there. And, but it's interesting because it's kind of in a neighborhood to get to it, right? So it's like you wouldn't, it's kind of off the beaten path. And if Roger was like, you have to, you must,
Well, it's really a neat community, in my opinion. You go through Iowa and you see, obviously the prairies and the farmland, and you get up to Iowa Falls, and all of a sudden you're crossing a bridge and over the waterway. It's just has a really neat downtown.
Oh, the downtown's gorgeous.
They have
a
popcorn stand, a historic popcorn stand that still can serve you popcorn down there. And
the theater, was it the theater? That beautiful building. Was it the theater?
And, the theater is great there too. Yes. And we have, and sadly, we spent one day of our caravan 2 years ago there, but sadly we didn't get to go to the on the Empress. But the pictures you see, and if you have not seen, go to the Iowa public broadcasting site, or just go on YouTube and look for it. Probably you will look and see a great piece that they just did about it, and it is just a few days ago I saw, Jessica, a great post on Facebook of some pictures from your cruise, and they were just awesome.
Well, actually, if you go to the website empressboatclub.org, you have a video of the Jefferson Highway Heritage Byway right on there.
Yeah, that's
and
that
you can
same
see,
one.
Yeah, you have it right on the website, and I'm looking at it now, and I'm like, Man, that just looks so beautiful. And I'm wondering, like, this is the Iowa River. So we've got the Mississippi River, right? I believe. Am I getting this right? Let me get my rivers straight because I was just in the Colorado River a couple interviews ago. So I think Connie, you're the Mississippi. Am I right?
I am where the Mississippi starts. So Lake Itasca is the origin. You can see that and you can walk across the beginning of the Mississippi River. But
So
Jessica, you're on a different river,
Iowa.
right?
She's on the Iowa.
We
Yeah.
are. And funny thing is, we are actually one of the first navigable parts of the Iowa River.
Hmm.
Cool.
Wow. What? Oh, I'm now here. This is the thing okay. So here is travelers, naivety that I'm going to hold on to of GPS systems and all of that, where we don't actually learn the lay of the land and actually look at where the rivers fall and everything. And GPS will go here, go here, go here. Roger is part of the Jefferson Highway to get us kind of off of that a little bit. We can use GPS, right? But is not understanding the route and how it all works and where the rivers flow and why and how, isn't that kind of part of the whole experience to understand where the Iowa River flows and the Mississippi and all of that? Are you there, Roger?
I'm sorry, I'm having a little bit of technical
Oh,
difficulties
okay.
myself on hearing. I can talk, but
Okay.
I am, yeah, it is really a unique element going up. In Iowa, you don't really expect to see go out on a riverboat as you're going across Iowa. I know I didn't. I was like, this is really unique. I know that there is not too far from there up north. You've got Clear Lake, and that's a little bit different. But this is on a river, so it's just
Oh,
you're
Roger's
going
going.
this beautifully beautiful area as you're going down there, and it's just really something I really encourage everyone traveling Jefferson Highway to spend some time. And the next time I get up there, I know I'm going to try to make the timing. And I don't, Jessica, when is the boat? I know it's seasonal, so when is it normally open?
Our cruise season is June through mid-October.
Oh,
And we
okay.
have public cruises every Saturday and Sunday at 2 o'clock.
Mm,
And then we have other special events like catered cruises and such also.
mm. And
And the
t-
and the history of the boat, how did that get going there? I mean, it's been something that's been going on a few years, I know, but I was just kind of curious about it.
Yeah, so the boat club itself um, is beautiful. It's a log cabin style event venue that was built in 1936 by some of the local families here. And that's just kind of what it was, just an event venue for a while. And then we acquired a boat. I can't remember what year the first boat came here. The Empress that we have now was brought to us in 1991, and we've run her as a tour boat ever since. And
mm.
when it was given to us, we had to promise that we would stay a nonprofit organization.
Oh, cool. So it keeps going. The legacy keeps going.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so the Iowa River is what you're flowing on, which is a tributary of the Mississippi River that connects back up to where Connie is, right?
Yes. So the Iowa River actually flows into the Cedar River and then
Okay.
into the Mississippi.
Pretty
Oh,
much everything's a tributary of the Mississippi at some point.
Yeah,
okay.
that's why
To
they
get to
call
it.
it the father of waters, or it's like
Exactly.
it grabs everything. And actually, it's really kind of interesting because when you think about it, 40% of United States is water draining in. So, Lisa, you were saying coming from the Southwest, we got water coming in from New Mexico. We've got water coming in from Wyoming and Montana. And when you go out east, we got water from the southwest part of New York State. And then curving along, of course, the Appalachian Mountains is that divide. So when Roger's talking about and Jessica are talking about water and tributaries, there is a lot of water that flows into the Mississippi. And that's what's cool about the Jefferson Highway is it takes you through the heart of the United States, and some of the indigenous cultures call the Mississippi the heart waters. And the Jefferson Highway is like that. It takes you through the heart of the United States and in parts of Canada, and you can enjoy the beauty of all of these tributaries that add into the Mississippi.
That's amazing because the tributaries it's confusing too as traveling. That's what I was saying where, we have GPS and everything and we kind of lose sight of what we're running into. We were in, I don't know where we were, and all of a sudden we were seeing the Colorado River, and I'm like, hell no. Colorado River goes from the Rocky Mountains to Mexico, and no, and it's like the little Colorado, and the other and Nancy and I are going, what is going on here? So we've got to sometimes, I think, yes, use all the mapping, but I believe sometimes look at an actual general map of the country. What do you think, Connie, as a naturalist and someone who understands trails, to get our bearings of what we're looking at?
I totally agree. Myself and the other naturalists at work here, we say, GPS is great, but it's not perfect. The Itasca State Park is located mostly in Clearwater County. And if you go on a lot of these mapping systems, they don't even have a lot of our roads on their mapping system. It shows your little blue dot, in your car going in green space.
And twirling around and twirling around.
Yeah, literally. And so we always say, get a paper map. Gazetteers are great because you can page through and you can see those tributaries, you can see those roads. But not only that, you can find those unique places. So like when Roger was saying, I didn't know there was a cruise boat down in Iowa, the Empress Boat Club, and those paper maps help you to discover the treasures. And I kind of go back to the Jefferson Highway. That's when cars were first coming out. It's hard for us to think of that. Prior, people were riding around in horse and buggies and wagons. And when the cars first came out, then they started creating the good paper maps to go with it to help you navigate. But you can see the topography, you can find these rivers, you can find these unique towns, you can find these features. And not only does it help you when you're hiking, but when you're navigating by car and discovering the treasures of the United States. And like I said, also going up into Canada. It's just, I have maps everywhere at home. So
I have maps, the whole car. That's, if you ever need to be warm, we have map bedding in our RAV4 is like Atlas and map bedding. I want to go to really looking at Iowa Falls at this Empress. This boat. Can we talk about the era of that boat? Because that really harkens to the old day. And I think that's where Roger got his, Roger, you wanted to go back because this is back in time. This boat is back in time, right? So
yeah, it's partially back in time, but it's still experiencing things along the route and the beauty of the route that was there. When we talked, when we're going back to Connie just a little bit ago, you can go and see. We have pictures of people being in the same site you can be in. Douglas Lodge is in the park there in Minnesota, and you can look at that building and you can look at pictures of it from the dawn of the Jefferson Highway, and it looks almost identical. And it's changed a little bit, but you can still, the trail down to the water there, you can walk across the Mississippi. Lisa, I don't know if you ever walked that walk, but it's really neat. And the last time I was there, a rainbow appeared over the water. It was just beautiful. And the same goes when you're in Iowa Falls. You're seeing things that these travelers saw generations ago, and different area. I was impressed with it. We can be impressed with it today as we travel the route.
That's kind of cool, Roger, because that's the fun thing. Like here at Itasca, families have been coming for generations. There have been people. I have one gentleman, he was celebrating his 61st year of coming to Itasca.
Wow.
And he and his wife had their honeymoon here, and this was their 61st wedding anniversary. But his wife had gone into a nursing home, and she said, honey, you go anyway and tell me how it was and take a picture and bring that picture back to me. And that's the cool thing about traveling the Jefferson Highway route, because like the boat club or Douglas Lodge at Itasca or the Headwaters, a lot of times you can look at family album pictures and those Jefferson Highway pictures. And like Roger said, it hasn't always changed. And it's like you're a part of that history. You're a part of that legacy of exploring the Jefferson Highway route and the, the beauty of the country. And we have people who recreate old photos and like old family photos, and they pose. We have some Jefferson Highway photos from the sociability runs outside of Douglas Lodge, and the people sitting, on their Model Ts, Model A's. And then we have people who like replicate it with their collector cars, or they'll replicate it with the Corvette Club will come and they'll replicate those pictures because they're following those road routes to these unique places.
Wow. It's just amazing to me because, it's part of family history, right? And so this is something that families did a long time ago, and people want to go like, what did my grandparents do? And we're kind of in that era of people understanding family history more now and getting into that and going, I didn't know my grandparents camped along this highway or, went to Iowa Falls, So it's kind of really interesting what we're in now, and the resurgence of this highway coming back is incredible with these experiences where people can recreate, just like you were saying, Connie, it is, and it's also creating new memories for kids. Jessica, over at the Empress, can you tell us a little bit about the boat's history? Because it does look pretty angelic. It looks like we should have a queen on there or something.
Well, I think she's beautiful.
I do too.
She was built in Wisconsin in 1986. And then she was brought down here. She's essentially been a tour boat her whole life. And we are just doing our best to keep her beautiful.
Yeah. And so you're saying you do special events and things like that. So like when a sociability run comes or something like that, families can come and say, hey, I want to rent this out. Can we do this? So you do that for folk. Yeah, that is awesome.
Yep.
And so
people can rent the lodge itself for events or private cruises on the Empress.
Do people come out to look at nature on the river, on the Iowa River?
Absolutely. We have, the whole cruise is beautiful between the limestone bluffs and our swinging bridge and the waterfall and the wildlife. I think that's some of the best parts about it. I love history, so the history of everything is what I enjoy, but seeing all the beauty everywhere definitely makes it better.
I agree. I mean, it's kind of this, that's why I think the beauty of the boat is very historic, right? And we talk about the 80s, apparently now that's classic rock era, which I object to.
No, we're not talking about that.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like it's wrong. It's wrong. We're not classic rock quite yet, but apparently we are. So like just saying the Empress is classic rock infused.
Yes.
But, when you look at the decor, it just is like she's a belle of the river. She is. When I was looking at the pictures, I'm like, wow. And just to do a slow kind of, how many people can go on there? Like actually, like on that boat?
We can fit a total of 50 passengers.
Oh, that's perfect.
And
that is perfect.
Yep, and we're a double decker. So down below there's seating for 44 and that's air conditioned. And then up top is open seating.
Oh, so do you have weddings on there?
Every so often we do. We
Ooh,
Yeah, just about any event that you could think of.
I think
We've
people are still into small weddings now, even after COVID. Like it's kind of
Yes.
still there. It's like let's put our money on doing like a epic, honeymoon. How about doing a road trip on the highway? Just saying. Can you
Right.
imagine, Roger, with people with their little cans at the get a really cool car, rent a cool classic car, Roger, for a honeymoon and go down the route, right? The highway, the Jefferson Highway with tin cans I think they'll take the tin cans off at a certain point, don't you think?
Every town on the route has, we talked about before, has its story, has its differences, and Iowa Falls is definitely one. And they have embraced us. We have a gentleman there that did a lot of work, and I think they have more Jefferson Highway historic markers in that town than anywhere on the route.
Hmm.
And they actually have a brochure that you can pick up at their tourist information center that shows you every one of those markers. And you can almost just do a trail of those around. And then you could, my point is, you can spend a whole day there. I mean, you could go to the theater in the night, see the Empress, and take across the bridge. It's just there's a unique statue there. I mean, it's just a fun town. My wife and I really enjoyed our time in that town. And again, make sure you stop by that popcorn stand if it's open because it's really cool.
I
Very
just thought
historic.
we were there at the end of the day and Roger, you got us to go there. You're like, no, I don't care. Go. We're like, I think I think it was like seven or I don't know, but it was like sun was coming
Man, you
down and
made
we're
me
like,
ask that, but anyway,
but we were on that like spur of the moment. We didn't even know where we're going that night. We had no
yeah.
idea. We're just like, we're doing the route. When we get like that, we just go, we're going and whatever happens, happens. And then I did the thing of send Roger and Arlene from Natchitoches. I got to bring up Natchitoches, one of our supporters here on the show, Natchitoches, Louisiana. So go to natchitoches.com, Natchitoches. It's a big supporter of the show. Our friend Arlene is retiring this month, right? So as this airs, it's going to be the last time we get to mention
Mhm.
her name. Well, we'll always mention her name. I don't care. We always will. She is one of the most, she's a huge supporter of the route. Huge. And,
But
she's retiring, but, you and her, we sent photos to, and both of
mhm.
you, like, you need to go here, you need to go there, you need to go here, you need to go here. And Nancy and I are like, we can't quite make it. It's like,
Well, she was in Iowa Falls with us on the sociability run we did, and I know she enjoyed her time there. But I highly encourage you, listeners, to go on the website for the Empress and take the link
hmm
to just the because you'll feel like you're on the boat almost when you're there.
yeah. I mean,
You get
looking
a
at
little
those
bit of
sites,
experience of it.
I'm like,
Uh,
I'm ready. I'm
yeah, they
ready.
did
I
a
want to go.
really good job on that piece, and they did two of those shows. They're both about the Jefferson Highway. One of them is in Iowa, which is fully marked and is a byway there. And we have a new byway board that's just formed in Iowa, and we're excited about that. But there's a north one, and this is what this is. This is on the north show, and that segment on the Empress was really well done. I really enjoyed watching because I almost felt like I was taking it,
Mm.
and I also saw the passion for Jessica and others staff there that they it's probably it's just like a lot of us, we they enjoy what they're doing. They enjoy
hmm
seeing people enjoying the boat. And
I love it.
I,
And Jessica, this goes on beyond because you have private chartered cruises. You've got, regular public cruises you were talking about, but
Mhm.
catered ones. And then you even have lodging, right? That you can help people with that.
We have what?
Lodging
Oh,
offers.
it's so we call it our lodge. It's So we don't have like rooms to sleep in. It's just an event venue.
Okay, so you have an event. Yeah,
Yeah, and it
no.
was set
Mhm.
up as a historic lodge members, so it was a building that was built back in time, I believe, and so it was, we think of a lodge, we think of, like the Elks
Yes, we,
Club or whatever,
yeah,
it
yeah,
was a
Right.
lodge. And
yeah.
this was a boat club that
Mm.
did this. So that's what's kind of neat about it. You don't think about that um, a lot in the middle of Iowa, but it is there, and it is really a neat part of the route. We look at the routing of the Jefferson Highway in Iowa, and again, there's Clear Lake's not far from there, and it's a lake, a pretty good sized lake right in the middle there, and it has always been a resort area. And Iowa Falls is near there, so it's just really
Hmm.
fun things to see along the route. And
Can I wanted to ask about your classroom on the river.
So that is always so much fun. We kind of partner up with Calkins Nature Area, which is part of the Hardin County Conservation here, just just on the edge of town, and we call it our water classroom. They can come and they cruise on the boat. Calkins teaches them about the wildlife, about the limestone, about just all kinds of different things. I mean, our river really does have quite a history with
Hmm.
the different fish and the birds and how the limestone was carved out and how they'll even teach how it looked before we had our dam. And it's so much fun. And we are actually an Iowa water testing site. So when the kids come on the cruise, they're able to dip the little test tube in the water and actually do testing on the water.
Wow,
And it's so much fun. The kids are
that's
excited. We get excited. It's a good time.
that's amazing. I think that's so important. And I think that's a huge part. I know Roger is like Nancy and I about this, about the education and kids being involved on the highway in all these, places. So I want to go to Connie over in Itasca. Am I saying it right yet? Itasca. I want to say Itasca, but it's Itasca.
Itasca State Park.
It's
Yes.
Itasca. I got to get the accent. Itasca.
Or Itasca. Itasca.
Oh no! See, now I screwed the whole thing
Well,
up. Itasca.
you're doing good. It's actually it's from two Latin words, veritas and caput. And so they just Henry Rowe Schoolcraft in 1832 renamed the lake, and he took veritas, which means truth or true, and caput for head or source, and he shortened them up and pushed the two words together, creating the word Itasca. And
Oh,
it just means true head or true source, meaning the true
ooh.
source of the Mississippi River.
Oh,
you learn something every day.
yeah. Who
Yeah.
knew? Who
Yeah,
knew?
it's a beautiful spot, and just like Jessica, we also offer programs. So visitors that are coming out to Itasca can join us at our naturalist programs. We have a calendar online. A lot of our programs are in the summer, but Itasca State Park is a park that's open year round, and so people can come at any time of the year and enjoy the beauties of Itasca State Park. We have lodging throughout the year. And so you can stay here in the winter if you want to cross country ski or snowmobile. The cool
Wow.
thing is, a lot of people come in the summer because they want to cross the Mississippi River, wade in it, because there's not a lot of major rivers that are easy access. And that, I think, is also why this was chosen as part of the route for the Jefferson Highway, is for
Yes.
people to see the beauty of the Mississippi River, where it begins. And you can wade across it. You can also see it flowing in the winter because that section of the river does not freeze. So you might see fish houses sitting and trucks going across Lake Itasca, hauling out their fish houses to do some ice fishing. And you can be standing at the rocks and the water is flowing right at that point. And it's pretty neat, to see it in all the seasons, and in the autumn when our hardwood trees are changing color and you have that stunning contrast with the green of the conifers. The evergreen trees, as many people will call them. And in the springtime, when it starts flushing again and the birds return and the ice is melting, and it is just a magical place. And I was noticing, like Jessica, they have their boat club, and it was built in 1936, 1937. In that log style. And that's what's kind of neat. The Jefferson Highway really inspired people to begin traveling. Cars allowed people to get out and explore. And as we were researching the Jefferson Highway at Itasca, we were learning that, middle class people couldn't necessarily afford those first cars that came out in 1915. So it was sometimes a little more wealthy people that were doing that. But as more cars came out, models changed, they were selling their used cars, and middle class could come. And so our park began building these early car cabins and motels. And we have a lot of log structures similar to the boat club in that look with the log. And we actually they're made of real log and stone from the area, and they date from the 19-teens. So the first round of our sociability runs, people would stay in those cabins, 1920s, 1930s. And then we also have more modern units as well. But,
tell us a little bit about the Douglas when you get a chance, Colin.
Right. And, these cabins came because Douglas Lodge was opened up in 1905, and it has numerous rooms, almost a dozen rooms upstairs. Downstairs is a dining area and a beautiful lobby lounge area with a massive stone fireplace. And that was opened in 1905 because even before the cars were coming to the area on a regular basis, people were bringing their wagons, and they were bringing a train so far, and then they would take the stage. And a lot of people go, "Oh, is that like the Wells Fargo, the big horse and buggy thing?" No, it was an ox or a donkey or a horse pulling a two-wheeled cart, and it would haul people up to the park, and they would stay. Yeah, and they would stay for like 3 weeks. And when they opened our lodge, the governor of Minnesota opened the lodge for the citizens of our state, and he was the first person to arrive in an automobile and in 1905. But the funny thing is, they had pictures, and they had gas cans strapped all over the car because there weren't gas stations. And that's what we chuckle about when we do naturalist programs and we talk about the Jefferson Highway, because you can still see remnants of it in our picnic grounds, the original road corridor. And we tell people, when these cars first came out and these people were taking these trips, that was a pretty amazing thing, because there wasn't a gas station on every corner. There weren't tire shops on every corner, and people had to make do and adjust, and they did it. And Roger, you remember you and I were chuckling about these sociability runs, how they had them timed to they would say a car would arrive at 4:32, and then the next batch of cars at 4:34 and 30 seconds. And it was like, man, we find it so amazing when the cars started coming, and how cars allowed people to enjoy our natural resources.
Think about this also is, we can look on YouTube, we can look on all over the place and find pictures or videos, or it could be on TV. These travelers didn't have that. They were only heard about these places, heard you can do this, and if there was a picture, it might have been on a postcard or something, and probably wasn't that clear to them. So these people were exploring this and seeing the beauty of this for the first time because they could get out on these cars.
And Roger, wasn't there a Jefferson Highway newspaper?
Yes, Declaration.
The Declaration, and it promoted these towns, and it talked about the beauty. And I think of as when I was a kid, I'm a little older, and I remember, looking at magazines and reading about these trips you can take
Right.
and how it inspired me. And when I look at those old Jefferson Highway declarations, it's like, it's the same thing, that inspiring you to explore.
Yeah, one of my
Yeah.
favorite pictures is one of those sociability runs with a lot of the dignitaries, and they're holding hands together across the rocks on the where the Mississippi is formed. They're all together taking their picture right
Whoa,
there with
you're talking
hand
about
in hand.
dignitaries actually holding hands. That's pretty amazing.
Well,
These
those are
days.
different days. Those are different.
Yeah, but I mean, but that's something we can look up to, right? And go, hello, remember we used to do this. And no, but that's the thing about travel. Travel opens hearts, minds, right?
Right.
And education. And I think and waterways are crucial. When we talk about rivers, the Iowa River, talk about the Mississippi River, these are very important water sources to our country. They're recreation areas, but they're important water sources. And so
Well, the
when you think,
wildlife in both of these places is quite fascinating too.
I mean, like, well, I didn't think we'd see pelicans on the Jefferson Highway. Like, what the hell were they doing there?
Well, you
We're
can.
like,
This is
where are
one
you
other
kidding me?
news.
We
Yeah, I
didn't
know
see
you've
that.
seen
And
some alligators in
we've seen
Louisiana.
alligators. We literally, yes, in
I
Louisiana,
know
we
when I
got
was
that.
there in
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Itasca, this big giant turtle came out on the path there for us. I remember taking a picture of that.
Well, I'll
And
tell you, but the bird life. So I want to do a big shout out for, we all know waterways are good places to get bird, views and sightings. And that's an important thing. And on the highway as a whole, I'm going to say because of the topography and the different terrains, if you're a bird watcher, do it. And also the highway also goes through, and I'm going to say it's Minnesota mostly. Connie, you may know more than me on this. There's a Monarch Highway, which actually corresponds with the Jefferson Highway. And the Monarch Highway is to get the monarch butterflies back and plant the native plants and milkweed and things like that. And it's awesome to see. And when you travel through these areas, you're just in awe. People are not, I don't think the Midwest gets due respect in travel and tourism within our country. I think the outer edges are always getting more of the travel and tourism. And I
A lot of
think
people don't understand just how beautiful it is here.
it is incredible. Nancy and I, the prairie, the grasslands,
Yeah.
the waterways,
My
the
wife is a good
arts.
example of that. I mean, when we went to Iowa for the first time, on the Jefferson Highway trip I took in 2016, 17, my wife fell in love with Iowa. It's just
She's like, Roger, we're
there's
going to get
just
another
something.
house.
It's just something really natural about it. The people were always friendly there along the route we went to, and seeing the farmlands and it seemed like there was something along the route all the whole time in Iowa. I mean, you're not going to get bored traveling the route on the Jefferson Highway in Iowa if you follow the byway, because there's a lot to see, and Iowa Falls and the Empress is just part of that.
Yeah, exactly. I think going into Minnesota is the same thing. The history. Minnesota showcases its history. I don't care if it's outdoors, indoors, teacups. I mean that about the teacups.
Well,
You know what
Minnesota
I'm
is
talking
just flat out beautiful, and especially in the area that this park is. I mean, if you are setting your sights on seeing this area, schedule a few days and make sure you spend some time in the park.
Look up and down for bald eagles. I learned
Exactly.
to not just look up, but bald eagles hang on the ground with a carcass. That's something I learned. Last year, Nancy and I were like, what? We're always looking up, but I didn't expect to see bald eagles bounce around on the ground with a carcass, but I did see that. Am I right, Connie? What was going on? Is that normal to
Oh
see
yeah,
that?
they'll take advantage of what we call roadkill, but they'll take advantage of a carcass. And like here in Itasca this last winter, oftentimes they'll leave in December and they'll return in February as they build their nests. But this last winter, we had so little snow that they stayed all winter. And even
Mm.
though the lakes froze, because they do feed a lot on fish, but they'll take advantage of if there's a car hit deer, they'll be in
Mm.
the ditch. And like you said, you kind of got to be careful because if you're driving the road routes and if it's in the winter season, like here in northern Minnesota, you have to be careful because those bald eagles, when they come up out of the ditch off of something, they'll swoop right over the
Mhm.
hood of your car and you're like, oh no, I don't want to hit the
Yeah.
national
Yeah,
emblem.
I just we were on the border of Wisconsin and Minnesota, and we were there's a wildlife refuge, National Wildlife Refuge that we were driving through, and oh my gosh, like stop. You know what I mean? Because we were just like, what's going on? And it was intense, and you could tell that the weather was different. You know what I mean? It was, I don't know, man. It's a whole other world up where you are. And I want to say both of you, Jessica and Connie, you deal with some weather that a lot of people don't deal with. And Roger too in Oklahoma. But really people just, the route is beautiful. It's summer. It is time to get out. It's good to go, right, Roger? This is the time of year to get out on the road and
Yeah,
enjoy the outdoors, you know?
obviously there's going to be some heat at times, but I mean, getting out on the water, a lot of times it's cooler there,
Mm.
and then it's also walking these. I just got back from a trip, different place, but I mean, walking in the woods, there's just something about it,
Yeah,
and
nature is
Yeah.
good. That's the
it
thing. We
just
talk.
calms you. It just makes you. It's good for you. Period, in my opinion, mental health to get out and walk and see nature and see these places. And both of these are great places to go.
And the whole route has nature opportunities. Nancy did it. Nancy and I did it that last summer. We just went. We started in Kansas City, and we had like 2 days, and all we did was parks. And we sat amongst flowers, wildflowers, families having a good time. We learned about fish, and we have no clue about fish. We don't even eat fish. We're allergic to
Mhm.
it. But we learned about fish. We could see gar. That's a fish, right? Gar. Um,
Yes.
we saw big gar things. Um, you know, we were sitting there going, get the Seek app, there's this wonderful app out there. And, you know, we were just like, this is incredible all the way up. And I know Louisiana, Texas has amazing places that we've done before too. You know, the nature part of the trail, we talk about the highway and all the restaurants and all the roadside attractions on top of it. But the nature part is part of it because that was there first, right? So when we think about this highway going through, this is the original stuff. And there's parks, a gazillion parks going from Winnipeg all the way to New Orleans. And you can go from big mosquitoes to big mosquitoes. Am I right, Connie? From one big mosquito to the other. That's the highway bird, I would say, right, Connie?
Well,
Mosquito.
we jokingly say it's the Minnesota state bird because we
Yeah.
have plenty of them. But our Minnesota
Louisiana
state bird,
says it too. Yeah.
yeah, but our Minnesota state bird is the common loon. And you're talking about, Roger, you're talking about water. And that's one cool thing about Minnesota. Our state was really shaped by glaciers. And we have our license plates on our cars say the land of 10,000 lakes,
Yes.
but we actually
Mm.
have over 12,000 lakes plus rivers. And, it's like anywhere you're driving, unless you're like Southwest Minnesota has fewer lakes, but you can drive anywhere in our state and see these beautiful lakes. And Lisa, you were talking about the beautiful birds, and, with 12,000 lakes, it attracts
Oh.
so many different bird species, from bald eagles and our state bird, the common loon, and ospreys, but the warblers and the sparrows and pelicans. We had just this weekend,
You
my
did
husband
see,
and I were fishing, and we had 2 white pelicans tootling
no,
past us.
that's weird to me. Like, why are we seeing, this pelican thing in the Midwest blew our minds. We've seen them in Illinois, Missouri, Iowa, all the way up. We've seen them all the way up to your state, and we were just like, what are we doing? What's going on here? But I have to ask you before we go, Connie, our travel writer Debbie Stone, she just traveled all through your state and then went to Isle Royale and Voyageurs, and did both those national parks.
Uh-huh.
And she said she saw sandhill cranes and the whooping cranes. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly either. I get yelled at every time I say that name, but which I think Wisconsin really started the conservation project of the whooping crane, which they go to Port Aransas and the Gulf Coast of Texas area in the spring. But the cranes, is it sandhill cranes in your area? Because she's like, this is the
Right.
biggest crane I've ever seen. Is it really a sandhill crane?
Yes, we have sandhill cranes here in Minnesota, and there for a period in the 70s, a lot of our bird species were really suffering, but the sandhill crane has done an incredible recovery in our state, and it's quite common to see them. We just had someone drive in today and said, "Could I have seen a pair of sandhill cranes right by your park entrance?" And I said, "Yes, they do nest here." And Lisa,
Wow.
it is so cool. Like, if you've seen them, the call they make when they're walking, and they make this really bizarre call, and it is amazing to see something so big and flying through the air. And but there's a lot of those amazing stories. We have trumpeter swans. They were
No way.
reintroduced in Minnesota, and one of the locations when they reintroduced the trumpeter swan was here at Itasca State Park. And now they're common throughout the state of Minnesota because, again, of all of our lakes and our clean water in the state. And there's just so many amazing recovery stories about, bald eagles recovering in our state, and with all the water systems we have, people being able to see them as they're nesting, and loons and other things. And we don't realize, as Roger was saying earlier, about just that importance, and Lisa, you were saying it too, and Jessica, about that importance of our water being clean, and it does make a big difference. So when people are traveling anywhere in the country, just those water areas and the forest where they come in, and there's, even if it's a small woodlot, those are important for our wildlife, so that you can have that opportunity to see them, and not just birds and mammals, but you think about the wildflowers. For right now, like right now, our state flower, the showy lady slipper, it's a type of orchid, is blooming, big, beautiful pink and white blossom, and people come from all over, and we always say it likes its feet wet, and they're growing right along the edge of Lake Itasca. And many of our park has over 100 lakes within our state park. And, you can see these showy lady slippers in those wet areas, and it all fits in together, and those beautiful places that we can see when traveling the Jefferson Highway, and that wildlife and flowers. So we hope, Lisa, you can come back again to Itasca sometime.
Oh, we're coming. We're going to come to Itasca because I got to go to the headwater of the Mississippi. Are you kidding me?
Yes, you got to cross it. We say, hey, it's the only place where you can be on the east side of the U.S. and walk across out west and come right back. So
no, we will. We will be there soon, and we're going to go out and see Jessica over on the Empress boat. Jessica, so you're saying that naturalists do go out there, so you've got to see herons and things like that. Do you get bald eagles? Any kind of scoop you can give us on the natural side?
Oh yeah, we have bald eagles. we have a blue heron. Well, there's a couple of them, but they like to fly right along the boat. We joke that they're on the payroll, and there's just a lot of there. We have birds that I will send a picture to our naturalists and say, I've never seen this. What is it? Why is it here? Not in a bad way, but what brought it here?
Yeah.
And it's just awesome.
Yeah, I think waterways are going to always be the crucial land for, I mean, everybody, like James Michener talks about, the famous author, right? It's like humanity goes along the water. And so does wildlife and animals, right? So we always congregate along that. And when you go on the Jefferson Highway, you're going to find so many waterways, which means history happened. And so did natural history. I think that's the perfect way to put it, right, Roger?
I'm sorry. Yes,
I
I think I was trying to get off of you here. Yes, there's just so many things again to see here and on the route, and we're really excited to have these two guests on
Yeah,
today.
absolutely.
I've really enjoyed talking with both of them, and again, you can just sense they have a passion for where they are. They're just not employees. They're
You're going in and
passionate
out
about
here.
what we find up
Yeah.
and down the route.
Yeah, you're going in and out a little bit. But everyone, for Jessica, she is again from the Empress Boat Club out in Iowa Falls. Go to empressboatclub.org. And then for Connie, who is out at Itasca State Park. Did I say that right, Connie? Itasca? I think I'm getting it.
Yes, as long as you never put a K in it, you're good. So.
Okay, I got it. It's mndnr.gov. But listen, all the links are in the episode notes, so you can click right through. Again, also the Jefferson Highway. That's the route. Go to jeffersonhighway.org. And when you go on their homepage, they say, like, here's the clickable map. I cannot say that more. I show people the website all the time, and I go, no, click on the clickable map. Just click on the clickable map, and then you'll get it. Do it. Just do the clickable map, and then you will see exactly what the highway is, because there's so much history behind how the route was made and all that. That's a whole other episode. But to follow it, that's the map. Click on the clickable map. Right, Roger? You know what I'm talking about. Click on the clickable map.
Yes.
So do
and
that.
we revise that every once in a while when we find things. Yeah, but it's a great tool to use, and we hope to create more tools as we go forward on for people to find the route and find the things on the route.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Connie. Thank you, Roger. As always, keep up with us at bigblendradio.com. Again, all links in the show notes. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Roger.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us here on the Big Blend Radio Jefferson Highway Show. The show airs every fourth Thursday, and we encourage you to go to jeffersonhighway.org to learn more about the Jefferson Highway Association or even become a member. You can also dig into the history of the highway and share travel notes with friends at the Jefferson Highway Association Facebook group. Follow our shows at bigblendradio.com. Happy travels!